And this is why when you break up, you gotta know where you're going with this. Okay? I mean, if you're in a relationship and you're gonna break up over a problem, now if you're having a repeated issue over and over again, okay, I'm with you. Okay? You have a repeated issue, it's like dog chasing its tail. It's like we did this again. If it's 2 weeks and you haven't really addressed it and you're just going to slam the hammer, that's the way you're going to win. So a lot of times people threaten to break up just to win an argument or get someone's attention. Bad way to negotiate relationships. Because what happens is you win because you're like, I don't stand for that. But was the problem fixable? Like if you had a controlled conversation, would you have been able to meet halfway on the bridge? Not always, but I would say go there first. Now I'm going to run through this. This is really good advice. And this is something that I would highly recommend that you keep in your back pocket when you're in any relationship. Okay? Because I've been doing this a long time, and it's just in the heat of the moment, someone thinks, I'll just break up. It's like, it's not going to be that easy. I know the other end of this. I know people that break up for the right reasons. They're completely just, and they're eaten up by it for 3, 4, 5 months. Okay? So it's better to, before you leave, before you drop the hammer, before you crush the wine glasses and throw the roses in the garbage, okay? It's better for you to go through these questions that I lined up for you guys, okay? And like I said, keep this in your back pocket. Maybe you're in a great relationship. Maybe you're single right now. Come back to this, though. I should probably make another video about this because this is very good stuff, okay? Number 1, identify the problems and separate them from emotions or generalizations. This is fucking huge. This is what I see again and again and again and again and again and again. You ask me, like, what do you notice as a common theme? It's this. Okay? It's this one. So what's the difference, folks? Let me break this down for you because this could be life-changing in your relationships. Problem. So for example, this guy that I was just mentioning, his problem is we haven't had intimacy in 2 weeks. Before that, we were like rabbits. We were going out at 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week, whatever. The problem is for 2 weeks, I've been shut out. So that's a problem. Now, he made it into, and then when we go out to lunch or we go out to eat, I always have to pay. That's a separate problem. Now, it was your pleasure to pay for dinner and lunch when you were getting intimacy. That's a trade-off. Do you get me? Okay. People do this all the time. For example, this story that's coming up that I reviewed, this is a really detailed story and take. His current girlfriend, who hasn't broken up with yet, or possibly, keeps telling him, you don't care about me. That's a generalization. It doesn't get to the point. Give me some examples. What do you mean I don't care about you? In what way? You just don't care about me. You can't really get to the heart of the problem. You don't love me. How don't I love you? How don't I convey love? If people want to stick to generalizations, what they do is they'll grab everything that fits that generalization. And it's really hard to get around it. And then you don't really fix problems because they're just interested in being right. Does that make sense? If I'm going to sit there and go, you don't love me. It's like, okay, so how did you come to that conclusion? You just don't love me. You don't care about me. I know that. So I'm not going to care about you. It's like, so what's the storylines that you're coming up with to support that? Now, you might be thinking like, wow, there's some women that would probably be, or men, that'd be like, what do you mean storylines? What do you mean this? No, give me some examples. Like, what's an example? Because this is what people do. Instead of just going to the example of the actual problem, they make it bigger to be more right, to be more correct. Now, if they start throwing a lot of stuff out there, like you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't pick me up from the airport, you don't help me out around the house, you don't do this, you don't do that. It's like now they're building a case, right, for the generalization. Now, when someone just gets emotional, a lot of times emotion is set off by one event. It's triggered, right? It's like let's say that you left the toothpaste out on the counter, right? And there's toothpaste on the counter. I've never done this before, but I've heard someone complain about this in a relationship, and it just sets them off. Just like someone that lives with someone and they have the toilet seat thing where they're like, oh, you always lift or drop the toilet seat, right? Petty things. These are emotional things that people get pissed off about, but they're also, emotions are related to other situations. I've talked about this before. So if someone has a lot of shit going on in their life, like let's just say a busy schedule, I'm working 60 hours a week, I don't have a break, I'm tired all the time, you're not going to have a lot of patience with your partner. You are going to be more highly emotional. Now, on the flip side of that, I've witnessed this. An individual that's not working, that doesn't have a lot going on, can be highly emotional and needy and clingy because they don't have anything else but their partner. Okay? So when they're being needy and they're, where have you been? What have you been up to? It's like, so you just been in bed all day watching TV? You want me to sit and watch TV with you? No, that's not it. You just don't care. What have you done with your day? Oh, and then they come up with all these things. So identify the problems and separate them from emotions and generalizations. Now, alcohol and drugs is a big one. That's an easy one to identify. It's a very common one, right? Someone's a drug addict. It's like, that's a problem. We can just talk. We don't need to generalize. It's like you smoke crack every day. You're a drug addict, right? Get to the problems. Write them out. Are they fixable? If your partner can't get to the problem and they just keep doing emotions and generalizations, they're just not wanting to fix the problem. They're going to typecast you. And that means like, oh, you're just this, you're just that. So whenever you do something to counter that generalization, it's the guys go, well, I'm walking on eggshells, I can never get it right. It's because someone's created a generalization or a typecast. Like I said, Robert De Niro is not going to make a movie where he's a carny folk or a clown at a kid's birthday party, right? He's typecasted. He's going to be a tough guy, even in a funny movie, right? When your partner starts to typecast you into some kind of theme, it's really hard to crawl out of that, because even if you do the right things, they're going to go, oh, that's not you. So if that starts to happen, you need to identify it, and you can't play that game anymore, because what happens is, if you do it too long, what they do is you start to believe it, right? You start to believe that, you know what they said is right. So when you're around them, if they're giving you a generalization or they're typecasting you in that way, you got to ask yourself, has other people told me the same thing before? Is it true about me? Number 2, are the problems fixable or just continue to be repeated? This is a very big one, because you can negotiate, hey, we're going to work on it. Hey, we're going to go to counseling. Hey, I'm going to stop being jealous. Then you get back together and baseline comes back, your personality, your character, all those events. You really didn't get any therapy. You didn't touch on anything. A lot of times, I'm going to be dead honest, I don't read a lot of self-improvement anymore, because you just got to take action on it. There's a period of time in your life to do self-improvement and then be actionable about it. And then all the self-improvement books that I know of now, they're all repeats. They're all remixes of the same thing. Okay. So if you're going to go down that route and read a book, make it actionable. Make it your Bible, right? Like Corey Wayne says, read his book 10 or 15 times. I understand exactly what he means. Then it's just second nature to you. And his book's very specific. It's about dating women. It's a protocol. It's kind of a protocol, like do this, this, and this. Do this and this and this. Whether it works for you or it doesn't work for you, it's something to follow. It's something that's actionable. Other books that complain about realities that aren't what's going on now with like Red Pill, right? It's one of those things. It's become a generalization that all women are like this, when in reality, the world's a big place. Specific subcultures, cities, towns, I wouldn't say countries because that's too big a generalization. Yeah, they'll have a certain dynamic. But if you had a population of 100,000 in your city or 80,000, and you had these generalizations about all women, is it true that that generalization would be broke 1 or 2 times? Oh yeah. Someone might go, well, yeah, but this is what's happening. Generalization. Number 3, what's the value that's keeping you in the relation? This is actually really big. So a lot of you have been on my channel before, and this is probably one of the biggest concepts. So a lot of times guys will come on. I've had guys that I've invited on the channel to air out their stuff, send in your story. Oh, she's toxic. He's a narcissist. Women call men a narcissist. Guys call women toxic. The list goes on. Those are generalizations, by the way. Those aren't getting to specific problems. Those are labels, right? And then it makes you feel really smart, like attachment theory. Oh, they're avoiding attachment. Label, generalization. What's your problems with them? They're an avoiding attachment. What's your problems with them? It's different, right? Well, they're an avoiding attachment. What does that mean? Well, according to the book, it means this. What are your problems with them? You got me? Now, what's the value that's keeping you in this toxic relationship with this narcissist? For men, a lot of times, Rob IS, who's on deck, who knows what I'm going to say, what is it? For most men, it's outstanding intimacy. Okay? If a guy's with a nutcase, stage 5 clinger, Looney Tunes, whatever, and he's going on and on, she did this, she did that, it's like, so let me just ask you something. Why are you with her? No, she did that. What's the intimacy on a scale of 1 to 10? It's a 10. That's a trade-off. That says, I'm gonna deal with this nutcase, crazy, toxic person that I don't like their morals and values, but I get outstanding intimacy. Okay, now you know what you're staying in for. You can stay or go. Well, you have to ask yourself, could I get this outstanding intimacy in another relationship where I don't have to deal with a nutcase? Does that make sense? Now, women could stay in a relationship with a ex-convict for the same reasons. Or the classic for women is what? Money. Is that true all the time? No. But a lot of times a woman will complain about a guy. Well, why are you really with him? If they're honest, which they probably won't be in most cases, well, he's a millionaire. Well, I don't want to lose my lifestyle. Okay, that's the trade-off. So you're dealing with a guy that's not home a lot. He cheats sometimes. He's kind of vague. He's not all into the relationship. But your account's always full. That's a trade-off. Okay? No problem with that. There's absolutely no problem with that. Just know what the trade-off is instead of sitting out there telling all your friends, families, and colleagues, oh, he did this. He's a narcissist. Why are you in the relationship? Because a lot of times the person from the outside doesn't have to be highly intelligent to see why you're in the relationship. It's like, well, she's still got a BMW. She's still got a nice house. Is that always the trade-off? No, but that's a common theme. That's a common theme, right? So it goes both ways. Find out what the trade-off is why you're staying in a relationship you're just not that happy in or you're complaining about all the time.